So last night, my husband and I went for a joyride. Literally, we don't get off of our property very much. So sometimes my husband's like, I'm going stir crazy. Let's go for a drive. So we went for a drive, and as we were driving, my husband told me that he felt very uncomfortable with what is going on with inflation. And even though we have massive food, more than enough, he wanted me to go ahead and pick up some more items. And so we went into Walmart and we purchased quite a few things. A lot of them were canned goods, but other things were dry goods. Now today I'm gonna dry can. Dry canning is not approved by any government agency. Dry canning is not fruits and vegetables. Dry canning is used for simply dry goods, rice, oats, things like that. And I use it, but please do your own homework. Please do your own research and see what's right for you and your family as far as dry canning is concerned. So not only is dry canning good to give your food a longer shelf life, but it also, because it's in mason jars, it allows you to not have any bug infestation. I keep these down in my basement, so therefore I simply want to keep it safe, give it longevity, and if I don't waste something, then I'm saving money. So these are just a few of the items that I'm going to be dry canning today. I do have a lot more, but right now I'm just going to kind of show you how I do dry canning. Again, please do your own research and do what's best for you. All right, so let's get started. So the very first thing I did, and I actually did this earlier, but I grabbed my jars and I put them through the dishwasher, and I put them through a good wash and sanitize cycle. This way I want to make sure all my jars are nice and clean and ready to go for dry canning. The next stage is I put those into the oven. Why am I putting them in the oven? Because they're wet. If you have moisture in these jars and you dry can, you're gonna have mold, plain and simple. They have to be 100% dry. I don't feel safe just using a towel to dry them. So I put them in the oven. I put them on the rack. I did a whole load of them. And at that point, I put it on about 250 and I let it sit in there for half an hour and then just turn it off. Let it sit for a couple hours. Everything is nice and clean. Everything is nice and dry. It makes it nice. It makes it really simple for you to make sure that you're going to have a nice dry canning process. There are many different ways to dry can. One of them is to simply just put something in a jar and put a lid on it. There are a couple items that this is the best process. That's like brown sugar, regular sugar, and salt. So do know that if you were to put in an oxygen, a food grade oxygen absorber, or if you used your Seal-A-Meal to dry can brown sugar, or salt, it's gonna turn into a brick. So I would not do that. So for this one, I actually have some older jars. They're not mason jars, but they're jars just the same. But because I don't have to seal them, I'm simply gonna be putting something in here. So this is brown sugar. Just pack it in there. And then I'm gonna put a lid on it. It makes it nice and simple. So back to dry canning. I use painter's tape. It's a great way to label something, but because it's painter's tape, you're allowed to just take it off real quick and not have to worry about a sticky sticker. So I just put that on there, and what I do is I put the date in which I dry canned it. So when I put this on my shelf, I can instantly glance at it and know that this is the date that it was canned. The next one I'm going to do is some instant mashed potatoes. Now I don't use these that often, but it's nice to have in case of emergency, but it's also nice if you need to thicken up pretty much anything, but like potato soup, if it was too runny. It's nice to have them on hand. So I'm just going to take my gallon mason jar, or a half gallon rather. Now I'm looking on here and it says this is good until January Best Buy. Remember, Best Buy doesn't mean it's bad on that date. It just means Best Buy. You can still use it much longer than what it says. So I'm just going to pour this in here. These are little... So I have a Food Saver Seal-A-Meal that has an adapter on it that is specifically for dry canning or taking air out of jars. So when you have this adapter, you have to buy these special components here. This is for a wide mouth jar, and then they have one for a regular mouth jar. And it's really, really, really simple. So what I did is I just wiped off this lid, or off this rim. I have a classic wide mouth lid. I put it on there. And then I take the wide mouth adapter sealer and I stick it on top. Now I take my little tool that is attached to my Food Saver and I stick it in the top of it. It's as simple as that. I turn on my machine and I hit accessory. At this point, the machine is sucking out the air from the jar. And you'll hear that tone go higher and higher. That means it's getting more and more of the air out of the jar. Once the sound goes off, you know that the air is out of the jar and you know that the lid is sealed to the jar. So I take this off. And this, if you know anything about mason jars, if you go like this, if it has a little burp type thing, a little noise, then you know it's not sealed. But this is completely sealed. So now I have instant mashed potatoes for thickening or for case of emergency that is sealed. You do not have to put the rim on here. This is a rim that comes with the jars. You do not have to put that on the jar. Actually, they recommend that you don't do that because you might get a false seal. So once you seal-a-meal that, and again, it is sealed, all the air is out of it, I can label that and put this on my shelf according to the box from the manufacturer of the food. This is good until Best Buy as of January 2023. And so I know that this is going to be good at least until then, probably a lot longer. I personally go a lot longer. But this is not a 25-year storage, but this could be a 2 to 3 year storage. Now, if it takes too long, guess what? My lid could be bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop this. All right, you guys, so sometimes things just don't go the right way. So what I'm going to do is I went and got a brand new lid. And I wiped off my rim. I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to grab my little topper, stick it on there. I see what happened. Mine broke. Holy cow, it broke. I'm so sad. I'm gonna have to buy a new one. No wonder it wasn't working. You know what? Happens, right? It always happens. So I will start doing other things with a regular mouth since I still have, oh, I can't do that either. Oh, well, we're going to have to try something else. Well, I can't believe all that just happened. You know what? Happens, and that's called life. So we're going to substitute the Stila meal. Needless to say, I will be contacting the company, seeing if I can get a free replacement because that was a very expensive tool and I only had it for a year. So anyway, I have an entire jar full of food grade oxygen absorbers. And so I'm going to put my pasta in these jars and just throw one of these in there. What this does is it sucks out the air, absorbs the air, and it will seal that lid right on it. Fill these jars. Sometimes I do just cheese, but it really depends on what you like. Like a bird on a tree. I'm gonna throw one oxygen absorber in there, this one. And I need to label this. One thing I did earlier, because my son told me I'm not supposed to use dork, it dates me. But you also need to label not just the dates, but what's in the jar. Sometimes you can tell instantly, like these shells, what they are. But because these are potato flakes, I went ahead and labeled them as such so that there's no question whether I grab this jar or somebody else grabs this jar. They won't question what's inside this. So I just got off the phone with Stila company, and the customer service guy, his name was Harvey, was amazing. He totally took care of me. He's going to expedite a new Stila machine and the new adapters since the little plastic piece got caught inside the adapter to seal the jars. So he was so kind. And for that alone, I think I'll be a Stila brand consumer. Of course, you can buy whatever you want, but I absolutely love how they took care of me. And they said within a couple of days, I will have a brand new Stila and I will be able to use that in the future to show you other products to seal. So thanks so much. So one of the reasons I decided to do this video and keep this video is because life happens. And I wanted to show you that I could still process some food. A lot of these were used with oxygen absorbers, also Stila bags. And so I did get some jars of little goldfish, some pasta, potatoes, some large giant shells, brown sugar, cake mixes, and every once in a blue moon, my husband likes rice-a-roni, so I went ahead and Stila rice-a-roni in some bags. Have a great day, and thank you for stopping by Pennypincher's Homestead. I'm Miss Vickie. God bless.